ScouterStan. I want to talk about safety as number one thing that all adult leaders should be involved in, and every decision needs to be considered with safety in mind. We are dealing with America's youth. We do not want them hurt or damaged. Okay, these are precious people. Okay, these things need to be considered. The Sweet 16 is a good way to remind yourself that safety is a big deal in scouting. In fact, at this moment, I would recommend that you check your YPT, Youth Protection Training, status. Okay, I give you permission to go to the link down there, okay, and go to the my.scouting.org and make sure that you're up to date. Safety job one, but you got to be up to date on your youth protection training. Very important. Number one, quality supervision. You want to make sure that all leaders that are involved with the youth, and even the ones on the committee, are trained on what is expected of them and what they're doing. No matter what kind of thing is going on, whatever activity it is, you need to make sure that there is qualified supervision at any given time. Physical fitness. This is mainly to do with the activity that you're doing. The activity may not be appropriate. Some of the activities that a crew or troop does is not appropriate for a pack. So you need to make sure that the physical ability is there. You wouldn't take a pack on a 50-mile hike, okay? But you may do that as a troop or a crew. Number three, buddy system. This is critical wherever you go. If you're taking the Cub Scouts to a museum, the fire station, make sure that they have buddies and they check and take care of one another. And they know what to do if their buddy is missing. Okay? So that is a time-tested thing. And it doesn't fall away. Okay? We have it as adult leaders. We have 2 deep leadership. That's a buddy system. We need to maintain that. Okay? No matter where we are and what we're doing. Crew, troop, pack, what have you. Whatever the scouting event is, the buddy system should be used. Number 4, safe area or safe course. There has to be a plan B. Whenever there's something going on, you need to have a follow-up plan for when things go wrong. Now, a lot of times I tell adult leaders this all the time, that scouting is a highly organized, chaotic thing. It's true. Okay, so with that in mind, we need to have a plan B. Number 5, equipment and the selection of that equipment and the maintenance of that equipment should be done. If you need something calibrated professionally, it needs to be calibrated professionally. That's true for a crew, a troop, or a pack. If you have something that needs maintenance, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done appropriately by people who know what they're doing. The worst thing to do is to assume that could be a problem, to make sure that you have the equipment in order to do the activity. I would not go diving if I did not have a certified person checking the equipment, okay? That's true with climbing. It's true with going on an event to make sure the car is maintained. You know, these are maintenance that has to be done. Number 6, personal safety equipment like helmets and jackets. If you don't wear them or you don't wear them properly, they don't work. They can be a real problem. So you make sure that you have them and that you're wearing them appropriately. Number 7, safety procedures. Everyone should be aware of what their role is in an emergency. That is really critical to appropriate help. No matter where you are, whatever you're doing, and wherever you are, there should be a procedure that everyone in the group knows what to do. For instance, you are going camping, and one of the vehicles hauling equipment has a flat tire. There needs to be a procedure for that. A lot of times people don't even talk about it, but there needs to be a procedure about it so that they know who's going to do what, who's going to notify who, and the delay, and if there's a problem or additional problems. That's something you need to work out with your adult leadership. They need to know the plan, otherwise they won't do it. Number 8, skill level limits. You need to know your unit's level of skills. Cub Scouts don't do 50-mile hikes or canoe trips. Okay? They will when they're a troop. Okay? They will when they do a crew. These are the limitations. Please go by those guidelines and know that those are the limitations. Number 9, out of the sweet 16, number 9 is check the weather. Sometimes the weather can be fickle, okay? I live in South Florida and it changes all the time, okay? We always tell tourists that if it's raining, just wait, the sun will come out. It doesn't take long. It's true, unless there's a huge storm. So you need to be aware of the weather. Number 10, I tell you what, planning is critical. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail. Okay, I've said that hundreds of times. Make sure that you have a plan with qualified leaders that all know their part in what's going on, no matter what the activity is, and make sure you have a backup. 11, communications. You gotta have that communications going on. Make sure that others know the cell phone number. Others know who to contact when they get there. If you're traveling within the guidelines, you're not all going to arrive at the same time. Make sure that everybody has communicated before and they know where the waiting points are and so on. Okay, so communications, super important. Some units go as far as even getting radios so that they can talk to one another on the way to events. Or if they get to the event, they can be able to communicate with base camp. That's a great thing to have. Number 12, plans and notices. You need to make sure that you file some kind of plan with somebody that's not on the activity. If you're going on a canoe trip as a troop, you need to make sure that somebody knows what river you're on and where you plan to camp. Very important. There has been many occasions when we needed that information. You can't really communicate when you're in a remote area through cell phones. You can't rely on that. So make sure that you file your permit and file your notifications before you leave, and make sure that you have them in order. Number 13, first aid. Make sure that you have the resources. That means a first aid kit that is sufficient for multiple people if they get cut or scraped or what have you at an activity. Make sure that you have all of that material, and it should be with you traveling to and from. Make sure that the person that is in charge of that has knowledge. Medical knowledge is great, but just basic knowledge of first aid. That is super important. Number 14, applicable laws. As scouts, in the scout law, we pledge to be obedient, and that includes any laws or rules that are out there. Safety is dependent on people doing the right thing. That's why we talk about being obedient. Make sure you wouldn't go camping on somebody's private property without their permission. That would be trespassing, right? So you need to be doing the right thing and making sure that you have that permission, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have an issue. Number 15 of the Sweet 16 is CPR resource. There needs to be a leader who is certified as a CPR person that can give CPR to an adult or a youth. Very important, especially for some activities. I would say all activities, but there are some activities like going to the museum where that's not as strenuous as a hike or a canoe trip. So that needs to be considered too. Finally, number 16 is discipline. Yes, all of this doesn't mean anything if you don't have the discipline to do it. Right? So let's set the example. Let's not try to be the exception. Let's go out there and be safe and make sure that all the leaders are willing to take on the Sweet 16 of the BSA safety. And that will be a great thing. It will keep you safe. It'll help you keep your leadership safe. It'll help you keep your youth safe. Safety is rule one. So with that in mind, I'll tell you what, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Scouting needs good leaders that watch videos like this and learn and think about these things. And you do that. That makes you a great leader. So keep up that good work, and I will see you safely on the trail.